Good morning. It's Saturday morning, the 10th of July 2021. It's rather damp and grey out. It's not raining at the moment, but it certainly has been. Ground's a bit damp, so overnight, which is lovely because it damps any dust and stuff down. It's about 10:30 in the morning, and I have been awake mostly since before 4 o'clock. I had a really poopy night's sleep on and off. I tried to get back to sleep, but I gave up about, 6:30. And since then, I've been potching with art. Last hour, 2 hours, I've been doing some digital art, which is what you can see happening behind me, a mandala, which I love to create. And I haven't done a mandala for ages. I'm still trying to figure out how the symmetry tool works in Clip Studio Paint. It seems to work in a different way to Autodesk Sketchbook. So I can always fall back on Autodesk Sketchbook to use for drawing mandalas. But I like a tool that Clip Studio has that Sketchbook doesn't in symmetry, which is that it will reflect around the line. So the lines of symmetry in the mandala, when you draw one side of it, it reflects on the other, which that doesn't happen in Autodesk. So it may mean that I use both, but that's fine. It really is lovely to spend time doing digital art just for the pleasure of it. I've been potching around with traditional media for long enough now to go, I need a break. I'm not sure what I'm doing at the moment, and I need to do something a bit different. And losing myself for a couple of hours in digital art is lovely, I do have to say. The colour palette I've chosen for this mandala, as you'll see, is this month's colour palette challenge for the Angela Porter's Colouring Book Fans Facebook group. And I used it because it was there, I like it, and it's nice to do something with it other than just the template for the group, which I haven't finished yet, but I've still got a couple of weeks, that's not an issue. So what else? Not a lot's been going on really. I have got all 31 templates for Whimsical Cats inked in, done off. I've given a list of which templates are my top ones. They wanted 3 or so, and I could have said nearly all of them or all of them. And most of them would be in my tops, I do have to say that, but I did settle on about 10. So it may or may not help settle it down, but either way, whatever they think will look the best on the cover or inside the cover as samples of art, then I'll go with, and then that'll be my focus for work for the next week. Most probably once I get the information back which templates they are. So that's nice, but it's a funny feeling because sometimes when I finish a project I think, oh, what do I do now? Because it's about self-motivation. And that is something I'm not very good at. Pushing myself to create things as part of a business, to add to my Redbubble shop, or perhaps to put on Etsy or self-publishing. It's not easy for me to do. You know, the thought of sort of setting up a Patreon or a monthly newsletter that's subscribed to for a very small amount of money, and you get something that's from me, personal, that I won't share anywhere else, and a template or 2 or 3, is something that almost fills me with horror in a way. And I don't know why. I think it's because it's self-promotion. And I've always been what we describe in Britain as a wallflower, or I like to keep out of the spotlight and I don't speak up about myself. I haven't got that kind of attitude of self-promotion. So, you know, it's something I know I need to do because obviously, you know, I get by, but, you know, an income above just getting by would be quite nice in some ways. But anyway, that's besides the point. I'm whittering on about stuff that isn't really too important, and I'll eventually figure it out one way or another. So yeah, so it's a bit of a strange feeling. I know I want to spend some time on exploring art more, which I do anyway, but perhaps having that extended period of time in a day to work on something from start to finish maybe might be a good idea. It all depends what happens with the craziness of COVID and rules and regulations and rates of infection and so on, and more importantly, rates of hospitalisation and deaths. How that pans out as well, because I'm still very nervous about going out. COVID is some worry to me, even though I've been doubly vaccinated. I do have some underlying health issues, asthma for one, and a couple of others as well, which make me, possibly vulnerable to having a more severe version. But, I've always been pretty resilient in my life, but I'm still very wary. But also being away from people for so long. It's been the best part of a year and a half. And I haven't spent time with human beings in person in all that time. Well, I get together with people on Zoom, which is great, and able to chat and to see other people and to keep up with things and keep up with things that I'm interested in, and so on. But out there in the big bad world where there are real people in real physical form, I'm struggling. And I'll be honest, I have to go out and do things. I had to go and post a blood sample yesterday, which I did, and I went and picked up some strawberries and some other stuff in a supermarket, which was a bit scary, because there were more people there than I expected, and I came out with more than I needed, but it's fine. I've got stuff, and that's okay. It's mostly fruit, and I like my fruit. But at the same time, I was exhausted when I got back just from that. So what I could have done with my day went out the window in some ways, because I had lunch and I collapsed to sleep. I don't feel stressful at the time, but afterwards I can feel that I've been stressed. And it's that sudden whoosh of energy that tells me you've overdone it, stress chemicals. So I'm not the only one who feels like this, and I'm sure I'm not the only one who's going to find it awkward in getting back into society as a human being, I suppose, rather than somebody who seems to be a virtual person online. And I'm sure there are people who are struggling far more. And I know there's still a lot of people very worried, despite the messages that are coming out from some parts of the country that I live in, not Wales, but elsewhere. But anyway, time will tell what happens. That's all anybody can do. And, I'm happy to stay at home mostly. But then at the end of a project like this, I'd be looking to visit places with sketchbook or camera, notebook, just to get those experiences and some more things that will spark off creativity, perhaps. And I'm not sure whether I'm going to do that. Maybe have to get more books. So, failing everything, get some books. Let's get some books to look at. Yeah, as if I haven't got enough. So there's that. What else? Oh, I did, with my watercolour stuff, I have been trying drawing on it and adding metallics, and I'm not entirely sure whether it actually works or not. I will show that. I must probably do sort of like a sketchbook kind of video tomorrow and have a look at things and some work and see what happens. But other than that, there's not a lot, except for that thing called imposter syndrome is rising its head again with me, as it does so often with my artwork. I don't know what it is, whether it's because I find it so quick and easy to do sketches for templates and get the ideas down. and then ink them in, that it seems easy. And this is a problem I've had all my life, because I just seem to find things that I do well easy. And I think if they're easy, I can't be any good at them. I haven't struggled to do it. So it can't be valuable in any kind of way, which is daft, because, you know, it is what it is. When I say quick and easy, it might take me an hour or so to do a sketch, and it might take me an hour and a half or so to ink the sketch in. And, you know, I've got the bones there, so it is focusing on adding detail and adapting it so it looks quite right, because things don't always look great once they're inked in. In pencil it's one thing, in ink it's a different thing. But I really do struggle to see how the cute and whimsical and simplified and stylized work that I do is good. It's good enough, but I just don't see it in the way other people do, I guess. Or rather, that lens, that imposter syndrome that I view everything through, really does have an impact. And it may be that drawing in this kind of stylized and cute and whimsical and kind of abstract way, because they're not realistic, so I suppose it is a kind of abstraction, is my superpower. And perhaps I shouldn't be quite so hard on myself. I say superpower, one of my artistic it is one of my artistic voices, but I think because it's cute and whimsical, I don't necessarily see it as serious art. And I'm searching for that serious art that really floats my boat, I suppose, or gets me engaged. Or perhaps I'm just being too hard looking for that, and instead just enjoying the journey and the exploration. It's not an easy one. And I don't know whether having had an art education in university or an art college would have benefited me in any way. I had a really good foundation as I was doing A-level art, and a lot of encouragement there. And I have to say that, and that set the tone for me going forward, and set the confidence I discovered, or the confidence I developed, that I could do art, despite what everybody in my past had told me. But then I sometimes think, well, it's only A-level. I'm mostly self-taught. I'm mostly self-explored, but isn't that the point of art school, art college? You learn theories and everything else, and you get to explore things, but perhaps I'm still doing that, but in my own way, and not having the confidence to see for myself perhaps the progress I'm making, or have made, or having somebody say, yeah, that, you know, people do say, yeah, that looks great, I love that, but having that confidence in myself to go, yeah, I like that, that's good enough. I've done that with most of the templates I've done. Yeah, I like that, it's good enough. And some like, I really like that one. That was really, really fun to do. And it's the same with the pieces of abstract art, or the mushrooms, or the insects, or anything else that I've been drawing, the entangled kind of work, even dipping my toes in the realms of Zentangle from time to time. These things, you know, they are me, my mandalas. They still express who I am. And I do struggle with this. You know, it's not just an imposter syndrome in terms of art. It's that sense of, I suppose, self-esteem and self-value in many ways. A lot better than I used to be. A lot better. And perhaps just overly self-critical. To be self-critical is important, to look at something and go, ooh, yeah, that needs changing, or that doesn't look right there, or that's the wrong size, or that's valuable. but everything else, I'm not entirely sure. So being able to speak like this helps me to vocalize thoughts that I'm either not aware of or are still quite abstract, and leads me to a greater understanding. Writing, I've written my thoughts down in the past, but it doesn't quite work the same way. Writing slows me down. Typing, I think in a completely different way when I type. But speaking is a different way of thinking out loud, which is interesting to me. Like everything in life, really. There's very few things I don't find interesting. Sport would be the top of my list. But what else don't I find interesting? Quite a bit, actually. Reality television shows. Never really watched them. But I'm sure there's plenty of other things. But, there's enough in life to be interested in. You don't have to be interested in everything, do you? Life would be boring if we were all the same. Anyway, I've whittled on here for over a quarter of an hour. So I'm going to finish this. I'm going to speed up the video of me drawing a mandala and colouring it into completion. That's unusual. And get this uploaded. And I will say thank you very much for joining me. Thank you so much for watching. Thank you for listening to my whittering, if that's what you've done. And I hope to see you back here again sometime soon. Take care. Bye-bye.